Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, we make trendy and fun crochet tutorials twice a week, and if you haven't already, smash that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe to join in on the fun. Today, I'll be teaching how to make a basket weave dress. This little dress on the prairie inspired fit features gorgeous puff sleeves, a plunging neckline made for princess jewels, and a flattering high-waisted skirt that's the absolute best thing to twirl in. Speaking of, if you're a fan of making crochet dresses you can twirl in, you are in the right place. We have hundreds of the absolute cutest crochet tutorials and patterns online with new patterns weekly, so consider clicking the bell to subscribe and you'll never miss an upload. Also, do me a huge favor and give this video a big thumbs up if you like it, or 2 thumbs down if you don't. Either way, it's a great way to show support so I can keep putting out free tutorials every Wednesday and Sunday. Now it's time to get on the show, so without further ado, for this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a total of 500 grams of yarn, and that's 1100 yards if you're stateside. As for tools, a 5mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There is a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order, and enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us your favorite movie that was made before the 2000s. Mine was Peter Pan, and that actually came out in 1953. Details for the giveaway down below. We're using 4 stitches for this project, and they'll be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. This tutorial is made for a size small, but you can adjust it for your size, and explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting this dress started, we're all going to grab our category 4 yarn and make a slip knot. Then we're all going to grab our 5mm hook and start off by making a chain the height that we'd like our waistband to be. I'd like for mine to be about 1.5 inches or 3 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain 8. So now that we have our chain, we are all going to block off that last chain and do a chain 1. That chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. And now we're going to slip stitch into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook. So bring your hook down into that second chain, yarn over, and gently pull through everything on our hook. There's our first slip stitch. Let's do the next one. Into that next chain, insert, yarn over, pull through everything, and that's it. Continue with 1 slip stitch into every chain, remembering not to tug too tightly, otherwise the following row can be too tight to work into. Our row 1 is complete. For the rest of our band, we're going to be doing back loop slip stitches. So we're all going to chain 1 to prepare for the next row and flip our work. And now to do our first back loop slip stitch, find that first stitch from our previous row, insert into that back loop, then gently yarn over and pull through everything. And again, into that next stitch's back loop, yarn over, pull through everything, and that's basically it for the waistband. We're going to continue with 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. At the end of the row, chain 1, flip our work, and put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch again. And we're going to continue to repeat our back loop slip stitch row with no increases and no decreases until we have a waistband that can stretch, and making sure that we are stretching it as if we're wearing it, around the widest part of our bust. And we do need to make sure that it ends in multiples of 6. So I will meet you back when I have the length of my waistband all finished. I am back. I have a total of 108 rows. My length is 18 inches or 46 centimeters unstretched. Now from here we're going to seam everything together. So let's fold our waistband in half, making sure that it's not twisted, and then we're going to insert our hook into the corner stitches of both the front and the back panel. Now from here we're going to yarn over and pull through everything on our hook, and we're going to chain 1 to secure. And now we're going to do an outside loop slip stitch seam to make it look like another back loop slip stitch row. So let's all start by finding that first available stitch into the front panel and insert only in through that front loop. Find that first available stitch into the back panel, insert only into that back loop, yarn over, and pull through everything on our hook. Let's do that again. Into that next stitch's front loop, into that next stitch's back loop, yarn over and pull through everything, and we're going to continue this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. So now that we've made our way all the way down with our seam, we're now going to single crochet across the top. So right after our seam, we're all going to chain 1, and then we're going to put 1 single crochet into every side row. So getting started, this divot is my first side row right here. I'm going to find that top loop and insert my hook. If you're like me and if you have your tail end right here, go ahead and place that over your hook, and then you're going to single crochet around everything. Let's do this again. Our following side row, which is this raised row right here, we're going to find that top loop and insert our hook, and then single crochet around that as well. And that is it. We're going to continue to put 1 single crochet into every side row, making our way all the way around. Now we should all end with the same amount of rows that we made for our waistband. And lastly, this single crochet row is going to be as wide as this portion can stretch. So once we made our way all the way around and slip stitched into that chain space, try on our piece to make sure that it still fits around the widest part of our bust. If it's a little bit too tight, redo some stitches with a looser grip, or if it's too loose, redo some stitches with a tighter grip. So we have made our way all the way around with our single crochet row. We're now going to slip stitch it into that chain space that we made when we started off this row, and now it is complete. And what we're going to do from here is a half double crochet row. So right after that slip stitch, all we're going to do is chain 2 and then put 1 half double crochet into every stitch, and we should end up with the same amount of stitches as rows that we have for the waistband. So yarn over, find that first stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. Again, yarn over, into that next stitch, pull through all 3, and that's it. Continue putting 1 half double crochet into every stitch. So we've made our way all the way around with our half double crochet row. This is going to count as our first row for our top detail because that single crochet that we did was just a prep row. So how we're going to close off our first row is by slip stitching into that second chain that we made when starting off this row. Here's 1, here's 2. Into that second chain, insert, yarn over, pull through everything, and our row 1 is complete. Now we're going to get started on our basket weave detail, so we're all going to chain 2. Our basket weave detail is going to consist of 3 front post double crochets and then 3 back post double crochets. So getting that started, we're all going to yarn over and find the first half double crochet from our previous row, making sure that it's not that chain 2, because remember that chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch. So finding that first half double crochet, we're going to bring our hook down underneath the body of that half double and through the other side. Then we're going to yarn over, pull through. When we have those 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That is our first front post double crochet. Like I said, they're worked in sets of 3, so let's do the following 2 together as well. So to do the next one, yarn over. Underneath that following half double crochet, bring your hook underneath, through the other side. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We have 2, let's do 1 more. Yarn over, underneath that following half double crochet, bring our hook down and through the other side. Pull through 2, pull through 2. Now we should all have 3 front post double crochets. Now let's do 3 back post double crochets. So yarn over. We're now going to bring our hook underneath our work and then over that following available half double crochet. So bring your hook underneath our work, in through that next gap, over that next half double crochet, and through the other side. From here, we're going to yarn over, pull through to have 3 loops on our hook, then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that's our first back post. Let's do the next 2. So yarn over. Bring our hook down, underneath our work, over that following half double crochet, through the other side, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then once more, yarn over, bring your hook underneath our work, over that following half double, through the other side, pull through, then pull through 2, and pull through 2. Now all together we should have 2 sets. So 1 set of 3 front post, one set of 3 back posts, and then we're just going to continue to repeat our front and back posts all the way around. So let's do the next 2 sets together. Right after our back post double crochets, we're now going to be doing 3 front post double crochets. So yarn over, find that next half double crochet, bring your hook underneath through the other side of that body, pull through 2, pull through 2, and they're still worked in sets of 3, so let's do 2 more. Yarn over, underneath that following half double, and through the other side. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then once more, yarn over, underneath that following half double, through the other side, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now we should have 3 sets. Let's do the 4th one, which is 3 back posts. So yarn over, bring your hook underneath our work, over that following half double, there we go, through the other side, pull through 2, pull through 2, and again, yarn over, underneath our work, over that following half double, through the other side, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then once more, yarn over, underneath our work, over that next half double, through the other side, and pull through. Then pull through 2, and pull through 2. Now all together we should have 1, 2, 3, 4 sets finished, and that's a set of 3 front posts, 3 back, 3 front, 3 back. Continue to alternate between our 3 front posts and 3 back posts, making our way all the way around, and then I will meet you back. So we are back. Our row 2 is all finished up, and now we're ready to get started on our row 3. So we're going to close off our row 2 by slip stitching into that second chain that we made when we started this row, so same way that we did the previous row. And then what we're going to do from here is chain 2. That chain 2 still does not count as a stitch, and whenever we're doing any odd number row, we're going to be extending our previous row stitches. So making sure that we're working in the same direction that we were from our previous row, our first set of stitches should be 3 front post double crochets for everyone. So since it looks like 3 front posts, we will now be doing 3 front posts. So just yarn over, find that first stitch, bring your hook underneath, through the other side with 1 front post double, and then 1 front post double into each of the following 2. So insert, pull through 2, pull through 2, and again, pull through 2, pull through 2. And to do the following set, since it looks like 3 back posts, we will now be doing 3 back posts. So insert, pull through 2, pull through 2, and again, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then once more, pull through 2, pull through 2. And from here, we're going to continue to extend our previous row stitches, making our way all the way around, and then slip stitch into that second chain that we made. We are back. Our first 1, 2, 3 rows are all finished, and now we're going to get started on our row 4, which is an even number row. So what we're going to do for every even number row, we're actually going to be doing the opposite from what our previous row looks like. So right after we have slip stitched into that second chain, we're all going to chain 2, and working in the same direction that we were working in for the previous row. We're going to take a look at our first 3 stitches. Now for everyone, it should be 3 front posts. So since it looks like 3 front posts, we will now be doing 3 back posts. So yarn over, bring your hook underneath our work and through the other side, pull through 2, pull through 2, another into that following stitch, and then another into that following stitch. So all together, we should all have 3 back post double crochets. Then, since we're doing the opposite from what our previous row looks like, it looks like we have 3 back posts, so we're now going to be doing 3 front posts. And that's basically it. Continue to do the opposite from what our previous row stitches look like, and then I will meet you back at the end of this row. So we are back, and we have finished our rows 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to finish off with our row 5, and I'll let you do the repeat from there. So for every odd number row, like I said, we're going to be extending our previous row stitches. So we're all going to chain 2 and take a look at the first set that we have. It looks like 3 back posts, so we are going to be doing 3 back posts, and that's it. Into the next set, since they look like 3 front posts, we're going to be doing 3 front posts and make your way all the way around, extending our previous row stitches. Alright, so we are back and we have our first 5 rows for our basket weave detail all finished up. From here, all we're going to do is continue to repeat our rows 2 through 5. All of those links will be in the description if you need a refresher, by the way, until we get an underarm portion that reaches our underarm. So making sure that we place our waistband underneath our bust, we're going to continue this, and once we reach our underarm, I will meet you back right after we finish up a repeat of row 5 after we do a chain up of 1 and cut. I am back and the height of my body portion is all finished. Now counting from my first half double crochet row, I have a total of 13 rows and this height is 4.5 inches or 11 centimeters, or my total height is 6 inches or 15 centimeters. And now that we have this, we're going to do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then we're going to need to insert our stitch markers so we can figure out where our straps are going to be. So first things first, you're going to want to try on our piece. Now, just for me, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I actually like to place the tail end, so right where the seam is, underneath my underarm, just to make it a little bit easier to cover up. And then I'm going to insert my first stitch marker into any stitch that I have that's nearest to the corner of the front of my underarm, and then also on the other side of the tail end as well, so the corner of my underarm along the back. So that is one armhole complete. From here, we're now going to work on the front panel. So on the other side, we're going to insert our stitch marker into the stitch that we have that's nearest to the corner of our underarm, and then same thing along the back. And from here, we're going to want to adjust because we want the same amount of stitches for the front panel and the back panel and for the sides as well. Since we all should have ended on an even number, all of our sections should be even. So just to let you guys know the amount of stitches that I have for my underarms, so from stitch marker to stitch marker, I have a total of 16 stitches, and that's just about 4.5 inches or 11 centimeters. And then for my front and my back panel, since they are the same, I have a total of 38 stitches, and that's just about 10 inches or 26 centimeters. And now that everything is still on, what we're going to do is make an even number chain from stitch marker, going up and over our shoulder to our following stitch marker. Now I have already figured mine out. I need a total of 42 chains, and that's just about 10 inches or 26 centimeters. So all we're going to do is insert our same 5mm hook into our stitch marker stitch, and then we're going to make that even number chain. So for me, like I said, I need a total of 42. And now that we have our chain, all we're going to do is slip stitch it into the stitch marker stitch that we have along the back. So go ahead and insert your hook in through there, yarn over, pull through everything. That slip stitch doesn't count as a stitch. There we go. And all we're going to do from here is do a chain up of 1 and cut. And then we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. Alright, so we are back. We have just finished up our straps, and now we're going to work on the thickness of our straps. So what we're all going to do is insert our hook into the 10th stitch from the base. Now it can be any strap since everything from the front to the back all looks the same. All I did was for my first chain over here, I just counted up 10 chains and inserted my stitch marker. And we're just doing this so we have a general basis on where we're starting and ending. And we're going to start with a half double crochet row. So let's all insert our yarn onto our hook. So now that our yarn is inserted, what we're going to do is chain 2. Now this chain 2 is not going to count as a stitch. We just needed the height, and we're going to start with our half double crochet, working into that same chain that our chain 2 is in. So into that same chain, go ahead and insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. Continue with 1 half double crochet, working down the short portion of our chain, and I'll meet you back when we have just 1 chain left. So I've made my way down with my half double crochets. Since we all insert our hook into the 10th stitch from the base, we should all have a total of 9 half double crochets, not including that chain. And now into the last chain, and then into that following stitch into the base, we're going to do a decrease. So yarn over, insert your hook in through that last chain, pull through, also into that next stitch that we have into the base, making sure that we're working across the front and or back panel, depending on what side you want it to be on, even though they look the same. We're going to insert our hook into that next available stitch, pull through. When we have those 4 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 4. And that is our decrease. Go ahead and insert your stitch marker into the top of that stitch, and from here we are going to continue to do our half double crochets, working all the way across until we have just 1 stitch left right before we have the chain on the other side, so you can do another decrease together. Alright, so we have worked our way all the way across, putting 1 half double crochet into every stitch. We have left the last stitch that we have right before our chain, and we're going to do another decrease into that last stitch and into that first chain, just like how we did on the other side. So as a refresher, we're going to yarn over into that last stitch, pull through, and then into that first chain that we have, you're going to insert, if you can, there we go, and then pull through. When we have those 4 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 4, and just like my other side, I am going to be inserting my stitch marker into that stitch. And that's it. We're going to continue putting 1 half double crochet into every stitch while doing a decrease of 2 into the corners, making our way all the way around. Once we made our way around to our chain 2, slip stitch into that second chain, and then I'll meet you back. Alright, so our first half double crochet row is all finished up. The next thing we're going to do is our following ribbing row. So getting started on our row 2, we're going to insert our hook into the stitch to the right of one of our stitch markers. Now it doesn't matter which stitch marker it is or if it's the front or the back, since everything right now looks the same. So what I did was inserted my hook into the stitch that I have to the right of my decrease stitch. So that is where my stitch marker is. From here, we're going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through and do a chain 2. That chain 2 does not count as a stitch, we just want the height. And now we're going to do a decreased post stitch. So let's do that together. What we're going to want to do is yarn over. We're going to start by starting a back post double crochet. So we're going to yarn over and bring our hook down underneath our work as if we're starting a back post double crochet. We're going to bring our hook over that half double crochet that we have that's right next to our decrease. You can tell that this is our decrease because it kind of looks like a little cluster. So this is my half double crochet right before. So start a front post double crochet per usual, yarn over, pull through. When we have those 3 loops on our hook, we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, and then from here we're going to start a front post double crochet into that decrease stitch. So I'm going to take my stitch marker out for now, yarn over, and then underneath that decrease stitch, so that little cluster I just showed you, bring your hook underneath and through the other side as if we're starting a front post double crochet. Then we're all going to yarn over, pull through for 4 loops on our hook, then yarn over, pull through 2, and then to finish off our decrease, we're going to yarn over, and then bring our hook underneath our work as if we're starting a back post double crochet. So just into that next half double crochet that we have, that's right next to our decrease, bring our hook underneath our work, over that next stitch through the other side, pull through to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2 for 4 loops, then yarn over, pull through all 4, and we are going to insert a stitch marker into the top of this stitch. And then from here, we're going to do our front and back post double crochets all the way across until we reach our stitch marker again. So since this was a back post double crochet, we're all going to yarn over, find that next available stitch, and do 1 front post double crochet, yarn over, into that following stitch, do 1 back post double crochet. So for our strap / top band, we're just going to be putting 1 front post and 1 back post double crochet into every stitch. I will meet you back when we have 1 stitch left right before the decrease on the other side. So I've made my way across with my front and back post double crochets, and we're about to do another decrease post stitch just like how we started it off with. So as you guys can see, I still have that last stitch right before my decrease still available, and we're going to do the same post stitch that we started off this row with. And the last stitch that we should have, since we should have had an even number of stitches in between our stitch markers, should be a back post double crochet. So what we're going to do is yarn over, and we're going to bring our hook underneath our work as if we're starting another back post double crochet. Insert your hook through the other side, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 for 2 loops on our hook. I'm going to take my stitch marker out for now, then yarn over and prepare to do a front post double crochet into that decrease cluster that we have right here. So bring your hook underneath, through the other side, yarn over, pull through for 4 loops, then yarn over, pull through 2 for a total of 3 loops on our hook. And then to finish up our decrease, we're going to yarn over, bring our hook underneath that following half double crochet that we have on the other side of our decrease, as if we're starting a back post double crochet, bring our hook through the other side, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 to get a total of 4 loops on our hook. Then yarn over, pull through all 4, and don't forget to insert your stitch marker into the top of that stitch. Now from here, we're going to continue to repeat this sequence, making our way all the way around. So just as a refresher, every time we finish up our decrease of 3 post stitches, we're going to yarn over, find that next available stitch, and start with a front post double, and then alternate between a front and back post double crochet until we reach our stitch marker. Then do another decrease of 3 post stitches, remembering to insert your stitch marker into the top of that stitch. We're going to continue doing that, making our way all the way around. And then when we don't have any more stitches left to work into, I will meet you back. Okay, so we have made our way all the way around with our front and back post double crochets, and now we are pretty much going to repeat what we did for our previous row, extending the stitches so we get a really pretty ribbing. But at the corners, it's going to be a little different because we're going to need to do a decrease within our decrease. So let me show you guys how to do that. Right after we have made our way all the way around, slip stitch into that second chain that we made when we started off our previous row, then chain 2. So this is what we should have. Getting started on the first one, it may be a little tricky, so let's do this one slowly. What we're going to want to do is do a decrease of 2 back post double crochets while doing the bigger decrease of 3 post stitches. And we want to make sure that the stitches that we have on either side of our middle front post double crochet are back post double crochets so that we get that really defined ribbing right at the corner. So for this first one, what we're going to do is yarn over. Now as you guys can see, this is where we have slip stitched into that chain 2, and then to the left of that, that is our back post, front post, back post, decrease of 3 post stitch that we started our previous row off with. What we are going to do is find that last stitch that we did from our previous row, so the last stitch that we have to the right, and then gather this stitch and that back post stitch on the other side of our chain 2. And that's going to start off with a decrease of 2 back post double crochets. So after we yarn over, we're going to bring our hook down, finding that last stitch from our previous row, and insert your hook underneath as if we're doing a back post double crochet. And then from here, we're also going to insert our hook underneath that following stitch, which should be our next back post double crochet. And then we're going to yarn over, pull through to combine those 2 stitches. When those 2 stitches are combined, we are going to have 3 loops on our hook. So yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to take out our stitch marker, and now we're going to do our middle stitch when it comes to our decrease of 3 post stitches, which is always going to be just a regular front post double crochet, so no increases and no decreases into there. Pull through for 4 loops, then yarn over, pull through 2 to get 3 loops on our hook, and then into that following stitch, which is our back post from our previous decrease of 3 post stitches, and then underneath that following stitch as well, a decrease of 2 back post double crochets. So yarn over. We're going to start by bringing our hook underneath that following back post and over that body, and then also over that following stitch as well, just to combine those 2 stitches. And then we're going to yarn over, pull through for a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops on our hook. Then yarn over, pull through the first 2 for 4 loops, yarn over, pull through all 4, and our decrease is all finished. So let's insert our stitch marker into the top of that stitch. And now from here, we're going to find that next available stitch, which is this back post double crochet. So since we want to extend our previous row's ribbing, put 1 back post double crochet into that stitch. To extend it into that following stitch is a front post double crochet. And we're going to continue doing this until we are 1 stitch right before the decrease on the other side. Alright, so we've made our way all the way down with our front and back post double crochets, making sure that we are extending our previous row stitches. And we have stopped 1 stitch right before our decrease, so we should have 1 available stitch. And then our decrease of 3 post stitches is that back post, front, and back post right there. And now we're going to combine this available stitch with that back post. So I'm going to take my stitch marker out for now. We're going to yarn over. Bring our hook underneath that next available stitch. Now mine is a back post, so if yours is a front post, that's completely fine. And then also underneath the back post from our decrease of 3 post stitches, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 for 2 loops on our hook. Now we're going to find that middle stitch, which is our front post double crochet. From our decrease of 3 post stitches, yarn over, and insert your hook underneath there with a front post double crochet per usual. So pull through 2 for 3 loops on our hook. Then we're going to close this off with a decrease of 2, so yarn over. Inserting our hook first underneath that back post double crochet and underneath that following stitch as well. So bring your hook down, find the back post that we have from our previous rows, decrease of 3 post stitch, and then over that following stitch as well, which is a front post for me. So insert, pull through. For 5 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2. For 4 loops on our hook, then yarn over, pull through all 4 of those loops, and don't forget to insert your stitch marker into that corner stitch. And that's it. From here, we're going to continue to extend our previous row stitches, making our way all the way around, making sure that when we reach our stitch marker stitches, we are doing our decrease of 3 post stitches while combining that last stitch with the back post double crochet from our decrease of 3 post stitch in the beginning and at the end on either side of our middle stitch, which is our front post double crochet. We're going to continue doing that, making our way all the way around. When we don't have any more stitches left, slip stitch into that second chain that we made. So I am back. We have just finished up our first 3 rows, and all we're going to do from here is continue to repeat this previous row, making sure that we are extending our previous row stitches with the same decreases that we did where our stitch markers are, making our way all the way around. And we're going to continue to repeat this row until we get the length of the strap / top band that we want. Once we have that, do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then I will meet you back. Alrighty, so I am back with my top band / shoulder strap. I'm all done. I did a total of 4 rows, and now from here we can get started on our sleeve. But first things first, we're all going to need to insert our stitch markers into the 2 middle stitches that we have along the bottom of our armhole, and then into the 2 middle stitches that we should have right where the top of the shoulder is. So for those of you that have my numbers, from stitch marker to stitch marker, I had a total of 16 stitches. Now that was including my stitch marker stitch. So that first and last stitch will be occupied. So I'm going to count that first occupied stitch, and since half of 16 is 8 and 8, here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I inserted my stitch marker, and then on the other side, counting from this occupied stitch as well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Those are my 2 middle stitches. I did the same thing on the other side. And then to find my 2 middle stitches for the top of our shoulders, all I did was I took the amount of chains that we made that went all the way up and over our shoulders. Mine was 42. Cut that in half, which is 21, and then I inserted my stitch marker into my 2 middle stitches. So into my 21st and 22nd stitch. And again, I repeated that on the other side. And now from here, we're going to get started on the length of our sleeve. So let's all start by inserting our hook into our stitch marker stitch along the bottom of our armhole. We are now going to insert our yarn onto our hook and start off by making a chain the length that we'd like for our sleeve to be. Now I would like for mine to be a short puff sleeve, and since we're starting at the underarm, I'm actually just going to start by making a chain 2. So I'm going to pull through, and I'm going to chain 1, chain 2. Now that I have my chain, we're going to block off that last chain and do a chain 2 on top of that. That chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. And now we're going to put 1 half double crochet into every chain, leaving the last chain. So yarn over and inserting our hook into that chain that we blocked off, or the 3rd chain from our hook. We're going to bring our hook down and insert into that chain with 1 half double crochet. And for those of you that have more chains than I do, put 1 half double crochet until we have 1 chain left. Now into that last chain, we're all going to do an increase of 2 half doubles. So yarn over into that last chain. There we go. We're going to put 1 half double crochet, and then into that same last chain, a 2nd half double crochet. And now we're going to connect it into the base. So into that next available stitch into the base that we have, we're going to insert with a slip stitch to close off our first row. That slip stitch does not count as a stitch, we just needed to connect it. And then to work our way up to the following row, we're going to slip stitch into that next available stitch into the base as well. That also does not count as a stitch, and flip our work. And now from here, we're going to start with an increase of 2 back loop half double crochets. So yarn over, and finding the last stitch from our previous row, not those slip stitches, insert your hook into that back loop with 1 half double, and then into that same back loop with a second half double. And now that increase is finished, put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch. And now that I'm at the end of my row, we're going to chain 2, flip our work, put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch and leaving the last one, just so we can do our increase together once more. So I have my first 1, 2, 3 rows nearly finished. Into that third row, we should have 1 stitch left. So into that last stitch, we're going to insert with a increase of 2 back loop half double crochets. So there's 1, and then there's 2, and now let's connect it into the base. So into that next available stitch, go ahead and insert with a slip stitch to close off our row 3. And since we're here, we might as well work our way up to our following row. So into that next available stitch, slip stitch into there as well, flip our work, and start off our following even number row with an increase of 2 back loop half double crochets and then 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch to reach the end of the row. From here, we're going to continue to repeat these 2 rows, working our way all the way up until we reach our stitch marker stitch on top of our shoulders. Once when we do, I will meet you back so we can work on the decrease side of our sleeve. Alrighty, so we are back and we have made our way all the way up to the top of our stitch marker stitch along the top of our shoulder. Now from here, we're going to basically repeat everything that we just did here, but instead of increases, we're going to be doing decreases. So for those of us that have ended along the outer edge, what we're going to do is chain 2, flip our work, and then put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch, leaving the last 2. For those of you that have ended along the base, what you're going to do is slip stitch into that following stitch into the base, so the same way that we would connect it into the following row. Flip your work, and then I'll meet you back so we can do our decrease together. So we are back and ready to do our decrease of 2 back loop half double crochets. So I'm going to yarn over, and since I'm working in towards the base, I'm going to insert my hook into that second to last back loop, pull through, and then also into that last back loop, pull through for 4 loops on our hook. Then yarn over and pull through all 4 loops, and we're going to connect it into the base per usual. So I'm actually going to take out my stitch markers because I don't need them anymore. And then into that next available stitch, go ahead and insert with a slip stitch. And then to work our way up to the following row, we're just going to slip stitch into that following stitch into the base. So everything is the same. Flip our work. And then just to get started on the following row, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that last stitch from our previous row's back loop, pull through into that following stitch's back loop, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 4, and then put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch, and that is it. Continue to repeat these 2 rows until we don't have any more stitches left to work into, and then I will meet you back to seam the sleeve together. So I've made my way all the way around with my sleeve, and I don't have any more stitches left to work into, so now we're going to seam everything together. So we're all going to start by making sure that our seam is going to be along the inside of our sleeve, and then we're going to do a single crochet seam. So yarn over and pull through everything on our hook and do a chain up of 1 to secure it. And now to do our single crochet seam, we're all going to start by finding that first stitch into the front panel, and then find that next stitch into the back panel, and then single crochet everything together. And that's pretty much it. We're going to continue doing this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, do a chain up of 1 and cut. So now that our sleeve is all seamed up, the next thing we're going to start working on is our cuff. So first things first, let's make sure that our work is flipped right side out, right side up, and then we're going to insert our hook into any one of the side rows that we have along the bottom of our sleeve, insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, do a chain up of 1 to secure. And now from here, we're just going to make our way around, putting 1 single crochet into every side row. So let's do the next one together. We're all going to start by finding our following side row, find that top loop and insert with just one single crochet. Let's do that again. This is my following side row. Find that top loop and single crochet. Continue with one single crochet into every side row. When we don't have any more side rows left to work into, slip stitch into that chain space. So we've made our way all the way around with our single crochet row. Now we're going to get started on our cuff. So right after we have slip stitched into that chain space, what we're going to do from here is make a chain the length that we'd like for our cuff to be. And I would like for mine to be just about an inch or 2 centimeters. So I'm going to start by making a chain 5. Now that we have our chain, we're going to block off that last chain and do a chain 1. That chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, we're going to insert with a slip stitch, and we're going to continue with one slip stitch into every chain. Now that we put one slip stitch into every chain, we're now going to connect it into the base. So find that next available stitch into the base, yarn over, pull through everything, and then to work our way up to the following row, we're going to slip stitch into that following stitch into the base, flip our work, and now put one back loop slip stitch into every stitch. So we will be connecting it into the base the same way that we connected our sleeve into the base. And from here, we're just going to continue to do our back loop slip stitch rows with no increases and no decreases, making our way all the way around. When we don't have any more stitches left to work into, I will meet you back so we can seam our cuff together. So I have made my way all the way around with my back loop slip stitch rows. We don't have any more stitches left to work into, so now let's seam it all together. And this seam is going to be the same seam that we did for the waistband, so an outside loop slip stitch seam. So let's all start by making sure that our work is flipped right side out, right side up, and we're going to be inserting our hook into the corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. We're going to yarn over, pull through everything on our hook, and now let's do the first seam together. Let's all start by finding that first available stitch into the front panel and insert in through that front loop. Find that next available stitch into the back panel, insert that in through the back loop. Then we're going to yarn over, pull through everything on our hook, and that's it. We're going to continue to do this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, do a chain up, a 1 and cut, and then repeat on the other side. Alright, so we are back and now we're ready to get started on the skirt. So first thing is first, we're going to want to make sure that our work is still flipped right side out, right side up. And then we're going to be inserting our hook into any one of the side rows that we have along the bottom of our waistband. And we're going to start with a single crochet row. So insert your yarn onto your hook. We're going to pull through, do a chain up of 1 to secure, and just like how we single crocheted into the top of our waistband when we got started with our piece, we're going to do the same thing, putting 1 single crochet into every side row. So start by finding our first side row. This is mine right here. I'm going to insert with 1 single crochet. This raised row is my following side row, so there we go. I'm going to find that top loop and insert my hook in through there, and that's it. Continue with 1 single crochet into every side row. We should have the same amount of single crochets as rows that we have. Slip stitch into that chain space, and then I will meet you back. Alright, so I am back and my single crochet row is all finished up. From here, we're going to make a chain the length that we'd like for the skirt to be. So you can make this as long or as short as you'd like. I'd like for mine to be roughly knee length, which is 21.5 inches or 55 centimeters. So I went ahead and made a chain of 95. So now that we have our chain, we are going to block off that last chain and do a chain 2. That chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, that's our turning chain, and we're going to yarn over. We're all going to insert our hook into that chain that we blocked off, or the third chain from our hook, and that's it. Put 1 half double crochet into every chain, and I'll meet you back at the base. So we have made our way all the way down with our half double crochets, and now we're going to slip stitch it into the base. So all we're going to do is find that next available stitch into the base, slip stitch it into there to close off our row 1. Then to work our way up to the following row, slip stitch into that next available stitch into the base, and flip our work. And from here, put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch. At the end of this row, chain 2, flip our work, put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch, and then I'll meet you back at the base to show you how we're going to connect it once more. So I am back and our first 1, 2, 3 rows are finished. Now we're going to connect it into the base. Now since we'd like a pretty decent ruffle for the skirt portion, what we're going to do is slip stitch it into that same stitch that our previous row is worked into. So that stitch is going to be occupied. We're going to slip stitch into there to close off our row 3 or any odd number row. And then just to work our way up to the following row, find that next available stitch into the base, slip stitch it into there. There we go, and flip your work. And then from here, put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch. And that is pretty much it. We're going to continue to put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch, connecting it into the base the same way that we just did, making our way all the way around. When we don't have any more stitches left to work into, I will meet you back so we can seam everything together. So we are back and we have just finished up making our way all the way around with the skirt portion of our dress, and now we're ready to seam everything together. So first things first, we're going to make sure that our work is flipped wrong side out. So we're all going to start by inserting our hook into the corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. We're going to pull through, do a chain up of 1 to secure, and we're going to do a single crochet seam, so the same seam that we did for the sleeves. So just to do the first one, we're all going to start by finding that first stitch into the front panel, insert, first stitch into the back panel, insert, and single crochet. And that's it. Continue this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, do a chain up of 1 and cut. So now that we have seamed up our skirt, we are all done. The last thing we're going to have to do is just weave in all of our ends. And there you have it. Hope y'all enjoy the tutorial. Join us on Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. Those links are down below. And do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Catch y'all in the next one. Bye!